must realize we need to feel, we need to use this warmth that could make bright our lives.
Hello. I am doing a new vlog, I guess. I don't know whether this will ever see the light of day because it's like Saturday evening when I'm starting this vlog, but I am taking part in the final book support group, which is a readathon that Steph from Steph Loves organizes every other month, more or less, in which the goal is to kind of focus on series. Now, I have always had the intention to do this readathon, but I've never really managed to. And so this time around, like I think I looked at the Discord like 2 weeks ago or so to find out the new dates for the newest version of it, and then I found out it was this week, and then I was like, okay, we have to make this a priority because I think in July or August or something like that, I filmed a video about like my progress on series and it was horrible. I have so many series ongoing, and so it's really necessary for me to kind of focus on some of them and get some of them out of the way. So today I'm focusing on Heart of the Sun Warrior. I started this yesterday. Yesterday, unfortunately, I had work all day, and then in the evening I had a birthday party of a colleague, but really basically I went to work and like straight away went to that party. So the only reading I got done was in terms of like commuting there and to work. So I did still get like 87 pages in. Heart of the Sun Warrior is the second and final book in Celestial Kingdom duology, I believe. And I really enjoyed that first book, which is Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which I didn't really anticipate loving that much, but it has like an old-fashioned love V or love triangle sort of trope, which I had been so tired of, but I also feel like I haven't read in such a long time. And so in this book, I was like really sold on it. I'm still very much sold on who I want our character to end up with. But so yeah, I'm very much enjoying the book now. I've been listening to that one most of today as well. I've been on sprints, Steph hosting sprints all 4 of these days because it runs from Friday till Monday. And so I am over halfway through the second book at this point in time. I'm still very much Team Wonder, and I'm very much hoping that that is the way it's going to go. However, history has told me that it's typically the loyal good guy rather than the bad guy that we end up going with. So probably I will be left disappointed in the ending, but I won't let you guys know that to keep this spoiler free. But yeah, I've been enjoying that. I went to the city center today as well to get some stuff for like maybe potentially already gifts for my niece and nephew. Already got some things for me to do as activities for the Christmas period. So I got like a gingerbread house kit so that I can like decorate that in the month of December somewhere. But yeah, I've been basically just chilling out. Now I definitely need to make sure that I make food and hydrate because I haven't been hydrating at all today. And actually, I've been really bad at it again the last week. Like, I'm gonna be continuing now with listening to this audiobook while I am cooking, and then hopefully, I don't know whether I can still finish it today. I don't even know whether I want to like force myself to kind of like fly through it at that pace, especially since I do have a like I'm going to a brunch with friends tomorrow morning, and for that I'm going by bicycle, so I also need an audiobook. So this book would actually suit me to stick around for tomorrow. So maybe after having cooked, I will move over to a different book and give you guys a little bit of my thoughts about that. But so Daughter of the Empire is basically a duology which we're looking at a girl who is a daughter of the moon goddess. Her mother is basically like on house arrest, and nobody in the celestial kingdom knows that she has a doctor. So our protagonist is kind of a hidden personality. And then, due to circumstances, she kind of has to flee her home and in so doing, she meets up also with the crown prince of this celestial kingdom, and a sort of like bond ensues between the two of them. But she's keeping a lot of secrets from him. She doesn't like he doesn't know her true identity, and nobody should know her true identity. While she tries to, reclaim the favor for her mother. Yeah, as I said, really enjoying that one. I cannot say more about this one, of course, because all of these books are going to be sequels, so I cannot really talk about the content of the sequel without, like, to some extent spoiling the first book. So I'm not really going to speak much on the sequel, but yeah, as always, I like the dynamics between characters. Sometimes the, like, actions and motivations of the main character do kind of frustrate me, but it's nothing like to really keep me from this book. And what I do enjoy is that they definitely, like, I have my opinions about, like, how this story should develop, or like when certain characters come into play, or I'm like, no, this character definitely cannot be trusted. And what I like about this book is that it's constantly treated like proving me wrong in that, the characters that I think that cannot be trusted do turn out to be trustworthy. And typically I have a pretty good radar for these types of things, but these books have always kind of like left me, shown that I am not the end all be all of how a story should be developed, because always they're kind of developing differently than I would have expected them to. So I really enjoyed that about this one. So yeah, I'm just going to continue a little bit further for today, and then potentially I will switch over to another book later on tonight, or I will just do something else for the rest of my evening. But it would be ideal if I can get another final book in, but I just don't know whether that's realistic considering how there's only tomorrow when I will be gone for most of the day, and then Monday I will also be gone for most of the day because I'll be working. So I don't know how realistic it is to think that I might finish another book. So maybe it is more prudent for me to just continue in another book that I was already reading before this readathon starts, because in this readathon you don't just have to finish series, you can also continue series. So I could just do that, which is also an audiobook, so then I don't need to save this audiobook, but we'll see what I end up doing.
All of us, in our hearts, there's love and light that we must realize. We need to feel, we need to use this warmth that could make bright our lives. And all of us, in our hearts, there's love and light.
Morning. I had so little sleep last night, and I will blame myself for it. But yeah, I did too much reading, I guess. I was going to stop early, but then, like, I was on sprints with some people and it got too fun, and so I did continue on. But then I also at midnight, like, wanted to play like just one more little game on my phone, and that ended up being way more. But yesterday, I mainly focused on, like, I want to say I mainly focused on The Conjurer, but that's not really true. But so I cycled to my friends and back and listened some more to Heart of the Sun Warrior during that. Um, I had the fun of, like, I was unsure whether I should take the bicycle or not because of potentially rain, but I was like, you know what, it's dry now, and like, let's just go. But like 5 minutes into my bicycle ride, it started raining, and it rained the entire way, and it took me like 45 minutes to get there. So fun times. But I am very close to the finish of Heart of the Sun Warrior, I think. after my commute to work today, I'll have like half an hour left, so that one is definitely being done tonight. The Conjurer is another story because I am like 50% into it now, but that is after having already read a bit in it 2 days in a row. So it took me 2 days, 2 weekend days in which I have more time to read to get to the 50% mark. So I don't know whether I'll be able to finish it tonight or not. But on the other hand, if I focus fully on it, maybe I will. Though yesterday I was having a lot of formatting issues with it because it's an undercorrected proof. So I don't know, but maybe I can find the ebook version as well on Script. The audio definitely isn't there, but maybe the ebook is. That might be easier. But in any case, The Conjurer is the third book in a sort of like companion cozy fantasy series. Um, First one has been my favorite in that series, and it is a series in which we're looking at, in the first one at least, a witch who is a vine witch, meaning she specialized in taking care of wine vines, and like grapevines, to be fair. And she has been cursed into the body of a toad or a frog, I believe. And at the beginning of the book, she has just been able to release herself from this curse because she's been in this form for a few years. And so she goes back to the vineyard in which she was working to find everything different. Like the vineyard is in disrepair and it is now currently no longer the ownership of the people who had taken her in there. It has now been sold to a mortal, and a mortal who doesn't believe in the superstitions surrounding vine witches. And so she gets to go back to the vineyard and take up a position there. However, she has to hide her witchy practices from this guy who doesn't believe in witchcraft and who doesn't want anything like that to take place on his vineyard. And so, and aside from that, there's also, of course, the mystery of who cursed her, and that will also come into play throughout this book. And then at some point in time, this character meets two other witches, and the two other books are focused on each of these other two witches in turn. So far, it's okay, but I'm not really all that engrossed in this story. And I feel like I had the same with like the second one. I do like that like the story of the other witches kind of comes back, and that is kind of like about like friendship and companionship between these three witches and kind of supporting one another. But I feel like the first story definitely was the one that like worked best, and that these two other ones are kind of like filler. But yeah, I will continue on and hopefully like it can like turn things around for me still. Hello. So it is Monday evening. In about 2 hours or so, Final Book Support Group is over for me, and I have finished one book, one final book. So I finished Heart of the Sun Warrior. I won't say too much about it, but I was happy with how it rounded off. There were like a lot of stuff happening towards the ending, and there were many occasions in which I was like thinking like, hello. There were many occasions in which I was kind of like worrying about like what turn the plot might take towards the end. There were many instances in which it could have, like in the hands of a less skilled author, like for my taste at least, could have gone certain directions. And I was sometimes like worried that it was gonna go those directions. But then in the end, I'm really happy with the way that the author handled the end of the book, as well as the way she handled the resolution of this sort of like love V. It was very skillfully done, and I'm very sad that this was a debut series because I would love to kind of dive into more of her work. She is going to come out with a short story collection for this same world, but I'm very eager to see what comes next from her after that, because I really enjoyed the series a whole lot, and this, as indicated earlier within this video, I feel like there are many plot developments within these two books that like were not the expected developments. I was not able to kind of like predict the twists and turns that these series were gonna take. Which isn't to say that necessarily it's like revolutionary or anything like that, but it definitely doesn't just like fit a mold of a type of book that I've read many, many times before. But I am now also trying to finish The Conjurer. That ain't gonna happen, but I'm hoping, so I'm currently at 63%. I'm hoping to read for maybe like an hour more and hopefully kind of get to the 75% mark. That would be like top notch ideal because then I can finish it tomorrow, like one day late. But yeah, I knew that it was gonna be a little bit tricky considering the fact that it was a semi-busy weekend and then Friday and Monday are like work days, so I wasn't gonna get a lot of reading done in that regard. But yeah, I really had a good time with Final Book Support Group. I will still come back to you guys at the end when I have completed The Conjurer, just to give you guys my thoughts about that book. But yeah, one thing that I also should mention is just that I need to stop like calculating my audiobook time in being like, okay, I still have an hour left of this audiobook, so that's perfect because I have like 40 minutes on the commute, so I can more or less be done with it on my commute, because that always means that when I arrive at work, after those first 20 minutes of the final 50 minutes, let's say, I'm always left in a state of like high tension or high emotion, because always something super dramatic or tension packed, action packed will be happening at that point in time. So I should stop that. I should not, like, if I see, oh, I have like an hour left of this audiobook, I should be like, no, let me finish it tonight and start something else tomorrow. This has happened a few times already and I do not learn. But so yeah, that was just a little on the side that I wanted to mention there. But so I'm gonna move into my bedroom to be rid of the cats and the distraction that they pose, and then hopefully get a little bit more reading done. All right, I have just finally finished the Conjurer by Luann G. Smith. So my second series for this Final Book Support Group edition. So 2 days late. It is Wednesday now, but I was just like on Monday evening I fell asleep while reading this book. On Tuesday evening I fell asleep while reading this book. So it was just not working for me. And so that already indicates that I think I already indicated that I was just not all that engaged with it, and that just stayed the same throughout. Aside from that, I like predicted a certain development from like midway through the book, and sometimes that can work. Sometimes that can be like a reason to push you through a book to kind of figure out whether you were right or not. But in this case, I guess there wasn't a second on which I was doubting whether I was right about that, I guess, to some extent. Maybe like in the very beginning, but it just took so long before we got that revelation that by the time that I got to like the 70% mark or something, like I was pretty sure that that was the revelation, and it just meant that I basically had to kind of struggle through it. So unfortunately this one didn't work for me. I will definitely say that I enjoyed the first one, The Vine Witch, a lot, and I would still recommend, but I feel like the second and the third book didn't really work all that well for me, and so those ones I don't necessarily recommend. I would say like treat The Vine Witch as like a standalone, and then definitely feel free to kind of try beyond that. But if you're struggling to book through book two, for example, like book three for me was a similar experience than book two was, with the exception that book two I had an audiobook, so I could get through it a little bit quicker. But so yeah, this has been a successful Final Book Support Group, because not only did I finish 2 final books, I also finished an arc, which means that I now only have like 5 active arcs, I think, left. So that is amazing. This book was really on my backlist for a long time, so I'm very happy to finally have fulfilled that obligation. And yeah, I'm hoping to see you guys for a future vlog. I do have one in mind that I will be starting soon-ish. I need to finish another book first, and then I can dive into that. But so yeah, Hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you guys for the next one. Bye!